There will be days, my dear, when simply getting out of bed feels like a mountain too steep to climb. When the weight on your chest isn't from the world outside, but from the storms raging quietly within. When your smile is tired and your eyes carry stories your lips cannot. You look around and wonder, does anyone see me? Does anyone hear my silent scream? And in that moment, you are not alone. You are never alone. Because the truth, oh yes, the eternal truth is this. Even in your breaking, you are becoming. Even in your stillness, something within you is rising. Quietly, patiently. When the world feels too loud and your soul too small to hold the ache, remember, you come from the dust of the earth and the breath of the divine. You are the answer to your ancestors' prayers, the echo of strength that refuses to be silent. You are made of something sacred, something unshakable. The road will not always be easy. Some paths are paved with thorns, some nights will stretch long and cold. But oh child, do not mistake delay for defeat. Do not confuse a pause for an end. Sometimes the most beautiful stories begin in the dark, so if the tears come, let them fall. If your voice trembles, speak anyway. If your knees buckle, lean into grace. There is no shame in being weary, but there is power in rising. Again and again, you have survived your hardest days. You have walked through fires and still carried love in your heart. Do not forget who you are. Do not forget what you've already overcome. Because when the going gets hard, it is not the end, it is the invitation to grow, to rise, to remember that within you lives the strength of generation. And in your heartbeat, a rhythm that was never meant to break. And now let me place these truths gently into your hands. Let us step slowly but surely into the light of these lessons. These, my dear, are not just words, they are soul reminders. When your spirit is weary, return to these and feel your power. Let each truth speak to you like a whispered promise from the universe, sneaking into the quietest corners of our lives. It doesn't always come crashing in like thunder. It can settle like fog, soft but suffocating. It hides behind fake smiles, creeps into sleepless nights, and wraps itself around the soul until you begin to wonder if it will ever let go. But hear this and hold it close. You are stronger than the pain. Not because someone said so, not because you pretend to be, but because you are. There is a kind of strength in you that no storm can drown. A strength that wasn't built in comfort or convenience, it was carved out in the deep. It was born in the moments when you didn't think you could go on, but you did anyway. When your tears hit the pillow, but you still rose with the sun. When your heart was breaking, but you showed up for your children, for your loved ones, for your responsibilities. Because deep down, something inside you refused to be defeated. You may not have had the luxury of giving up. You may have been forced to carry more than your share, to wear courage like a second skin, because life did not give you softness. But what life didn't give you in ease, it gave you in resilience. And that resilience, my love, is not something to overlook. That quiet strength that no one saw, that's what has carried you through every fire, every storm, and every lonely night. That's not weakness hidden in silence. That is might. Pain will tell you that you're broken. It will whisper that you're not enough, that you'll never make it out, that you're stuck. But pain is a poor storyteller. It doesn't know the whole of you. It only knows what you feel in the moment, but it cannot measure the power inside you. The power to rebuild, to reimagine, to rise again. And again, you've bled, yes, you've cried, yes, but you've also healed. Maybe not all at once, maybe not completely. But piece by piece, moment by moment, you've stitched yourself back together with threads of grace and determination. Don't you see? That's strength. Not the kind that roars, but the kind that whispers, I'm still here. There's a myth that strength looks like perfection. That strong people don't cry, don't stumble, don't feel weak. But real strength isn't in the absence of pain, it's in how you carry it. It's in how you wake up the next day and say, "Hey, today, I'll try again." It's in how you choose to love when you've been hurt. How you dare to hope when life has disappointed you. How you keep moving even when every part of you wants to stop. Sometimes being strong means asking for help. Sometimes it means resting. Sometimes it means saying, this hurts too much and giving yourself permission to fall apart. Because real strength doesn't come from pretending you're invincible. It comes from knowing that you're not and still choosing to show up. You have survived things that tried to destroy you. You've had people walk away from you, break promises, and still you kept your heart soft. You've faced failure, grief, rejection, still you kept going. You've been tired in ways that words can't hold, and still you showed up. That is not weakness. That is not fragility. That is power, unshakable, undeniable power. You are stronger than the pain because you have learned how to carry it and still move forward. You are stronger than the pain because you've learned that healing is not a straight line but a winding road, and still you walk it. You are stronger than the pain because you haven't let it define you, even when it tried. You are stronger than the pain because deep down you believe, no matter how faintly, that joy is still possible, that light is still reachable than your grasp. And yes, there will be days when the pain feels bigger than the strength, days when you feel like you're drowning in it. But even then, even there, your breath, your heartbeat, your very existence is proof that you are still fighting, still hoping, still standing, even if barely. And that, my dear, is what it means to be stronger than the pain. There are parts of you that pain has not touched, parts that still believe, parts that still dream. And those parts, they're your lifeline, they're your reminder that no matter how deep the wound, you are deeper still. No matter how loud the ache, your spirit sings louder still. No matter how many pieces you've broken into, you hold the power to gather them and build something even stronger, even more beautiful than what was before. So when the days get heavy and the nights stretch long, return to this truth. You are stronger than, not because it doesn't hurt, but because it hasn't stopped you. Not because you don't cry, but because you wipe your tears and carry on. Not because life is easy, but because you've chosen again and again not to give up. That is courage. That is resilience. And it lives in you every second, every breath, every choice to keep going. Hold on to it. Let it guide you. Let it live. And know that you don't have to be fearless to be strong. You just have to keep showing up one moment at a time, one heartbeat at a time. You are stronger than you know, stronger than the pain. And the world needs that strength, needs you more than ever. There are seasons in life that feel like a never ending night. A long, howling darkness that wraps itself around your spirit and dares you to believe that morning will never come. You sit in the quiet where the wind of heartache beats against your chest and every ounce of surrender. The rain doesn't just fall outside, it falls within. A downpour of fear, of sorrow, of exhaustion that seeps into every crevice of your being. You look at the calendar and you ask, how long must I feel like this? You reach out, but it feels like no one truly sees the storm you're in. And then comes the doubt that maybe the storm is you. But oh, dear soul, storms don't last forever. They never have and they never will. Pain is loud. Fear is louder, and in the heart of the storm, it's hard to believe in the sun. But just because you can't see the light doesn't mean it's gone. The sun never stops shining, it's only hidden for a while. Clouds come, they rumble and rage, but they move on, they always move on. And so will this season you're in. No matter how violent the winds of your situation may be right now, they are not eternal. They have an expiration date. The sky will open up, the heaviness will lift, you will breathe again. Not shallow panic gasps, but deep, whole, peaceful breaths. The storm may leave behind damage. It may break some branches and shake the roots, but it will not destroy you because you, dear one, were made to endure. You are the tree that bends but does not break. You are the house built on rock, not sand. Yes, you may sway. Yes, you may creak, but you will stand because inside you is something eternal, something no storm can drown, something no darkness can eclipse. There is strength in you that the rain cannot wash away. You see, the storm is not your punishment. It is not your failure. It is not the universe turning its back on you. Sometimes the storm is the clearing. Sometimes it comes not to destroy, but to wash away what no longer serves you. To shake loose what's holding you back. To soften the ground so new things can grow. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's also safe. Because transformation never neat, growth is never quiet. The storm is loud because change is loud. And maybe you're thinking, but I've been in this storm for so long. Maybe it's been months, maybe years. Not just one storm or its wave after wave, pounding and relentless. You haven't caught your breath. You're treading water, wondering if you'll ever make it to shore. Let me remind you now with all the tenderness and truth I can hold. Even the strongest storms run out of rain. Even the fiercest winds grow tired. Even the darkest nights break into morning. You don't have to have it all figured out today. You don't have to be at the finish line right now. You just have to hold on. You just have to take one more step, even if it's trembling. One more breath, even if it's shaky. One more moment, even if your heart is weary. Because the storm doesn't last. But you are still here, and that is a miracle. There will come a time when you will look back on this season and you won't feel the sting the same way. The memory will still be there, yes, but it will be lighter, softer, wiser. You'll see how you grew, how you changed, how you became someone more powerful, more grounded, more compassionate. Because the storm not only reveals your strength, it refines it. It teaches you to trust yourself. It strips away the lies and the illusion. And it reminds you that you are more capable, more resilient, and more beautiful than you ever knew. Maybe you've lost things in the storm, people, opportunities, versions of yourself. Maybe you've grieved silently while pretending to be okay. Maybe you've screamed into pillows and prayed into the floor. That's okay. Every tear is a seed. Every cry is a release. Every heartbreak is a doorway. And on the other side of this pain is a version of you that is more whole, more rooted, and more radiant. So don't curse the rain. Don't fear the thunder. Let it pass. Let it teach. Let it move. And when it does, when the clouds finally part and the warmth of the sun kisses your face again, you will know deep in your bones that you made it, that you stood when it felt impossible, that you held on when everything screamed to let go, that you survived something that tried to unmake you. And now you shine not just because the sun came out, but because you did. Even the flowers know how to bloom after the rain. Even the rivers rise with new life after the storm. And so will you, with grace, soul, and softness in your eyes. You are not defined by the storm. You are defined by how you rise after it. And rise you will. So if you are in it right now, if the rain is falling heavy and the night feels endless, just hold on a little longer. Whisper to yourself, this is not the end of me, because it's not. This is just a chapter. Just a moment, necessary, painful, powerful part of your becoming. And soon, when the light returns, you'll step out of the storm not just as a survivor, but as someone reborn. Storms don't last forever, love, but you do. And your story is still being written in the ink of resilience, courage, and unstoppable grace. Keep going, keep breathing, keep believing. The sky is clearing, the sun is coming, and so is your next beginning. In a world that glorifies hustle and demands constant motion, rest can feel like rebellion. It can feel like weakness. It can feel like falling behind while everyone else seems to be sprinting towards something. Success, perfection, approval. We are taught to measure our worth in productivity, to wear exhaustion like a badge of honor, to press on even when our bones ache and our souls whisper, please stop. But listen to me and hear it not just with your ears, but with your heart. Rest is sacred. It is not the absence of strength. It is the presence of wisdom. It is the knowing that you are not a machine. You are not a project to be completed. You are a living, breathing soul with needs that are divine. Your spirit gets tired. Your heart needs tending. Your body deserves care. And choosing to pause, to breathe, to be still is not laziness. It is survival. It is love. There will be days when you cannot carry the world. Days when the burden is too heavy, when your mind is foggy, when even lifting your head feels like a triumph. And in those moments, you are not failing. You are simply human. And your humanity is not something to apologize for. It is something to honor. You don't have to earn your rest. You don't have to check off every box or prove your worth to deserve a moment of peace. You are worthy now, in the mess, in the stillness, in the not quite there, worthy of breathing deeply, worthy of putting down what hurts, worthy of choosing silence over noise, worthy of healing. So many of us are afraid to stop, afraid that if we pause, the world will forget us, that if we slow down, we'll fall behind, that if we rest, we'll lose the momentum we worked so hard to build. But what if the opposite is true? What if rest is not a detour, but the road itself? What if slowing down is what saves you? What if it's in the quiet that you remember who you are? Rest is not giving up, it's gathering. It's collecting the scattered pieces of your spirit and holding them close until they feel whole again. It's breathing in grace and breathing out guilt. It's sitting with yourself, not because you've run out of things to do, but because you matter outside of what you do. We've been taught to grind until we're empty, to smile through burnout, to call it ambition when it's really self abandonment. But you are not here to sacrifice your soul on the altar of productivity. You are not here to prove your worth through exhaustion. You are here to live, to feel, to rest, to rise again with intention and purpose, not with depletion. There is courage in stepping back. There is power in saying, I need time. There is healing in stillness. And while the world may not always celebrate it, your soul does. Your spirit rejoices when you give it the care it's been begging for. The world will tell you to do more, but your heart is whispering to be more. Be more gentle. Be more patient. Be more kind to yourself. Rest does not mean you're not ambitious. It means you're rooted. It means you understand that your dreams are not sprints. They're marathons, and marathons require breath breaks, balance. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to change pace. You're allowed to rest without guilt, without shame, without explanation. You are allowed to say no, to cancel plans, to close the laptop, to ignore the to-do list, to choose stillness over speed. You are allowed to lie in the grass and stare at the sky, to take long walks without a destination, to nap in the middle of the afternoon, to do nothing, and let that be enough. And when rest becomes a rhythm instead of a last resort, you'll begin to feel yourself again. You'll hear your own thoughts more clearly. You'll remember that your worth was never tied to your output. You'll find joy in the small things again. You'll laugh without heaviness. You'll breathe without rushing. You'll move from a place of peace, not panic. We are not meant to be burned out. We are not meant to live in a constant state of survival. We are not meant to pour from an empty cup over and over again until there's nothing left to give. You cannot bloom in barren soil. You cannot thrive in a soul that's never tended to. So today I invite you to lay down the lies. To choose rest, not as an escape, but as a return to your body, a return to your breath, a return to your truth. Because there is power in pausing. There is bravery in listening to what you need. And there's magic in the moments when you say, this moment is enough, rest is not a setback. It is a setup for clarity, for vision, for strength. When you allow yourself the gift of rest, you rise with new eyes, with a heart more open, with a spirit less weary. You begin again, not from burnout, but from wholeness. Let the world rush. You take your time. You honor your journey. You give yourself space to heal, to think, to breathe, to just be. Because you, my love, are not defined by what you produce. You are not your pace. You are your presence. You are your peace. You are your becoming. And if you've been pushing, striving, grinding, let this be a permission to pause, to breathe, to choose softness over strain. Let this be a reminder that rest is not failure. It is a sacred revolutionary act of self-love, an act that says I matter, even when I'm not doing. Even when I'm simply being. So rest, without guilt, without shame, rest like your life depends on it because it does. And when you rise refreshed, rise radiant, because you gave yourself what you truly needed, not more pressure, but more peace. There is a fire inside you. Quiet maybe, but eternal. A flame that has not gone out no matter how fierce the winds have blown against you. You've walked through pain that tried to crush you, through sorrow that tried to silence you, through battles no one even knows you fought. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still rising. And that, dear soul, is not a small thing. That is everything. Because it means you've overcome before and you'll overcome again. There were nights when your heart was so heavy you could barely lift your head. There were days when the weight of the world sat on your shoulders and you still showed up for others, for work, for life, when you barely had anything left to give. You cried behind closed doors. You smiled when you wanted to scream. You kept moving when every cell in your body begged for rest. That wasn't weakness. That was survival. That was strength. That was you doing the impossible with grace no one could see. Maybe you didn't call it overcoming. Maybe you didn't feel triumphant. But overcoming doesn't always look like a celebration. Sometimes it looks like getting out of bed when the darkness is loud. Sometimes it looks like eating when you've lost your appetite for life. Sometimes it looks like answering the phone, brushing your hair, taking one more step when everything inside you says, "What's the point?" That's not small. That's not ordinary. That's a miracle. And you've lived it more times than you give yourself credit for. This life has thrown you into deep waters. It's tested your limits, pushed your edges, broken your heart. And every time you've learned how to swim through pain, you've taught yourself how to breathe underwater. You've made homes in uncertainty, carried peace through the fire, held hope like a secret song inside your soul. Yes, you've fallen. Yes, you've hurt. But every single time you found a way to rise, don't forget who you are. Don't forget what you've already walked through. Because you are not new to this. You are not fragile. You are not powerless. You are a warrior in soft skin. You are living proof that scars can be beautiful, that broken pieces can still shine, that shattered things can still be whole. You have overcome heartbreak, betrayal, fear. You've overcome not feeling good enough, smart enough, strong enough. And still, here you are. And now, if life has once again brought you to your knees, if you are staring at a mountain and wondering how you'll ever climb it, remember this: you've been here before, maybe not in the same way, maybe not with the same pain, but the feeling is familiar, the overwhelm, the doubt, the ache. And still, you learned. Still, you found your way forward. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from experience, from strength, from wisdom carved out of past storms. Let yourself remember the times you made it through, the time you thought the grief would swallow you whole, but it didn't. The time you lost someone and it felt like the end, but it wasn't. The time your heart broke in 1,000 pieces and somehow, against all odds, you loved again. The time you failed and thought you'd never recover, and then came back stronger. All those moments, all those battles, they were shaping you, forging you, making you into the resilient soul you are today. You are not weak for struggling. You are not failing because you feel afraid. The presence of fear does not mean the absence of strength. Courage is not never being afraid and choosing to move anyway. It's saying, "I've been hurt before, but I'm still here." It's whispering to yourself, even when your voice shakes, "I'll find my way through this too." Because you will. You always do. That's your pattern. That's your legacy. You don't just endure, you grow. You don't just survive, you transform. And even when you feel like you're breaking, you are actually breaking open and making space for new beginnings, deeper truths, greater strength. Look how far you've come already. Not just the miles, but the mountains. Not just the time, but the trials. You have faced things that would have destroyed others, and maybe even tried to destroy you, but you refused to stay down. You've cried, yes. You've questioned, yes. But you didn't quit. You didn't give up. And that says everything. So if today you feel like you're back at the beginning, lost, weary, unsure, just pause and breathe. Remember, this is not your first storm. This is not your first heartbreak. This is not the first time life has knocked the wind out of your lungs. And every time before you learned how to breathe again, every time before you picked yourself up, every time before you walked forward, even if it was slow, even if it was messy, even if you didn't think you could, you've got that in you still, that same grit, that same power that's carried you through nights darker than this. You are allowed to feel the weight of this moment. You are allowed to cry, to scream, to break. But do not believe in for a second that this is the end. Do not believe that you are too tired to make it. Because deep down you have always had one more breath, one more push, one more ounce of faith. You don't have to know how you'll make it through. You just have to believe that you will. That somewhere in the unfolding of this hard and holy journey, there is healing. There is peace, there is purpose. And you don't have to rush there. You don't have to have all the answers today. Just trust the truth of your own resilience. Let the past remind you of your power. Let your story remind you of your strength. Let the fact that you've overcome before be your anthem. Sing it in the silence. Speak it into the fear. Hold it close when the road gets rough, because it is your truth and it is unshakable. You've overcome again. This moment is not the end of your story, it's just another chapter. And when you look back, maybe weeks from now, maybe months, you'll see that this too was a turning point. This too was a becoming. This too somehow brought you closer to the beautiful life that is still unfolding for you. So keep going, love. Keep breathing. You've done it before. And you will do it again. There comes a time in every soul's journey when the skin you've been living in begins to feel tight. When the rooms that once felt comforting now feel like cages. When the people, places, patterns that once made sense no longer echo with the sound of your becoming. It's subtle at first, just a whisper, a restlessness, a quiet knowing that something has shifted within you, that you're no longer the person you once were. And though it may fill you with guilt, with grief, even with fear, hear this with your whole heart. It's okay to outgrow what no longer serves you. You are not meant to stay the same. You are not here to shrink yourself to fit into old containers. Growth, real growth, is rarely comfortable. It stretches, it sheds, it unsettles. And that discomfort is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're evolving. The caterpillar cannot cling to its cocoon and fly at the same time. It must break free even when the breaking hurts, even when it feels like a loss. Even when it feels like betrayal. But what if it's not betrayal? What if it's becoming? What if the things, the roles, the relationships, the dreams that once fit perfectly were only meant to carry you for a season, and now your season has changed? You're allowed to change. You are allowed to want different things. You are allowed to say, this used to work for me, but it no longer does. You are allowed to walk away from friendships that drain you, from jobs that dim your light, from habits that keep you small. You are allowed to grow, and growing means leaving things behind. It does not mean you are ungrateful. It does not mean you are selfish. It means you are listening to the truth rising inside you. The truth that says, I was made for more. The truth that says, this is not my final form. You are not disloyal for choosing peace over pleasing. You are not wrong for wanting more for your soul. There will be those who do not understand, who will question your choices, who will say, but you've changed. Then they'll be right. You have changed. That's the point. That's the gift. That's the purpose. You are not here to live one version of yourself forever. You are here to bloom again and again and again. And blooming takes courage, because sometimes it means letting go of people you love, people who once fit your heart but now feel like ghosts of who you used to be. It doesn't mean you love them any less. It means you're choosing alignment. It means you're honoring your truth. And sometimes love means loving people from afar. Sometimes it's not people. It's patterns, ways of thinking that kept you safe, but small stories you told yourself to survive. Maybe you believed you had to earn love, that you had to hustle for worth, that rest was weakness, that success looked like burnout. That saying no meant you didn't care. But now you're waking up. You're realizing those stories don't fit anymore, and letting them go feels like a death, but it's really a birth. You are outgrowing the lie that your worth is tied to your productivity. You are outgrowing the fear that kept you silent. You are outgrowing the shame that told you to hide. And in their place, you are stepping into something holy, something deeply true. Your soul knows the way. This kind of growth is not loud. It doesn't always look like big leaps or bold declarations. Sometimes it looks like small choices made every day. Choosing rest when you used to choose rush. Choosing boundaries when you used to choose burnout. Choosing silence when you used to choose noise. Choosing yourself when you used to abandon your needs for someone else's comfort. And yes, it will feel lonely at times, because the path of transformation often means walking alone for a little while. But loneliness is not a punishment, it's a clearing, a sacred pause between who you were and who you are becoming. And in that space, you'll find your voice again. Your essence. You don't need to explain your growth to everyone. You don't need approval to evolve. Your healing is your own. Your journey is sacred, and it belongs to you. Some will not understand, and that's okay. They are not meant to walk every chapter with you. Bless them. Release them and keep walking. Letting go is not failure. It is not quitting. It is making room for what is next. for what is aligned. And yes, it's scary because the space between the old and the new is filled with unknowns. But the unknown is not the enemy, it is the invitation. The invitation to trust, to leap, to believe that something greater is waiting on the other side of your letting go. Because when you make space, when you clear out what no longer serves you create room for what does, for relationships that nourish, for work. For joy that doesn't feel like work. For freedom that breathes life into your bones. You may not see the full picture yet. That's okay. You don't need all the answers to take the next step. Just the courage to say, this is no longer mine. Just the bravery to release what weighs you down. Just the faith to believe that your next chapter will hold what your last one could not. You are not meant to stay in places that make your soul shrink. You are not meant to live a life that fits someone else's mold. You are not meant to carry burdens that aren't yours. You are meant to grow, to evolve, to shine. And sometimes that means walking away, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know your spirit needs more. So give yourself permission to change, to leave the old narratives behind, to shed what's too small for your becoming. You are not who you were a year ago, a month ago, even yesterday. You are a masterpiece in motion, a living, breathing testament to the power of growth. You're not broken for outgrowing. You're brave. You're becoming, and your becoming is beautiful. If you feel the tug, the pull, the nudge in your soul, that quiet voice that says, there's more for me than this, listen to it, trust it, honor it, because it's the voice of your own evolution. And that voice, that knowing, will never lead you wrong. It's okay to outgrow what no longer serves you. In fact, it's necessary. It's sacred. It's the path to your fullest self. So step forward with grace, with courage, with love, and with the deep, unshakable knowing that you are walking not away from something but toward yourself. There is a truth we often forget in our rush toward results, in our hunger for the mountaintop moments, for the breakthrough, the reward, the shining light at the end of the struggle. But listen closely. Love, you were built for the climb, not just the sun. Your power was not born in the spotlight. It was forged in the shadows. It grew not on the day of victory, but in the quiet aching hours when no one was watching, and you chose to rise anyway. Every soul on this earth wants the joy, the breakthrough, the moment when everything makes sense. But what about the journey? What about the stretch, the sweat, the steps taken with blistered feet and a trembling heart? That's where your story is written. That's where your grit is formed. That's where your true strength sings. You were not made to skip over the hard part. You were made to endure them, to shape them, to let them shape you. Think about the mountains in your life. Think about the times when the path was steep and the air was thin and you didn't know how you'd take another step. Maybe no one else even saw how high you had to climb, how many things you had to leave behind to move forward. You did it not for applause, not for glory, but because something deep inside you whispered to keep going. And now here you are again facing another mountain. Another moment when everything in you says, this is too much. And yet, hasn't every mountain you've climbed once felt like this? Haven't you stood the base before, doubting yourself, afraid, uncertain, and then climbed anyway? You've proven it before, and you can prove it again. There is no shame in struggling. The climb is hard because it's meant to be. That's how you learn to trust your legs. That's how you build the strength to carry not only your body, but your belief. You are carrying every hope, every scar, every lesson you've ever gathered along the way. You're not just climbing for the summit. You're climbing to become someone who knows her power. You weren't made for easy. You were made for possible. And sometimes possible looks like taking one slow step at a time, one breath at a time, one tear washed morning at a time. That's not weakness. That's power in motion. That's what rising really looks like, not graceful. Not effortless, but holy and hard and breathtakingly real. Look back for a moment, not to mourn, but to marvel. Look at the path you've already walked. Look at the mountains behind you, the ones you thought would break you. They didn't. They made you. You didn't just survive, you transformed. You didn't just reach the summit. You learned how to live the climb. We are taught to chase the finish line, to hold our worth hostage until the goal is met. But your worth is not measured in trophies or timelines. It is found in the climb, in the moments you whispered, I can't, but moved anyway. In the nights you felt empty but woke up still breathing. In the steps you took in silence long before the world ever saw your light. Maybe you haven't reached the top yet. Maybe it feels like you're still deep in the valley, clawing your way up. That doesn't mean you're failing. That means you're becoming stronger, wiser, softer in the right places, sharper in the others. The climb is the fire that burns away what isn't true so you can rise in what is. There's a kind of sacredness in the climb, in the struggle, in the mess. Because in those moments, you meet yourself raw, real, unfiltered. You find the edges of your soul. You find what truly matters. You find the kind of courage that isn't loud, but steady. The kind that says, even if it takes everything I've got, I won't stop. And maybe, just maybe, that's the point. Not the summit, not the destination, but the soul you uncover on the way up, the love you learn to hold for yourself. The grace you extend when you fall, the humility you carry when you rise again. Because the summit isn't what makes you powerful, it's what reminds you that you already are. There's beauty in the climb if you dare to see it, beauty in the slow, sacred steps. In the days that feel like nothing but are actually building everything. In the cracks and stumbles and the breathless moments when you're unsure, but you don't give up. That's the soul work. That's the divine unfolding of your journey. So take the pressure off yourself to arrive. You are already on holy ground. Every step you take with intention, with hope, with fire in your belly and faith in your bones is a declaration still trying. I am still becoming. That is enough. That is everything. The world may not celebrate the climb. It may not see the silent victories. The day you chose kindness when you wanted to lash out. The day you got out of bed when the weight felt unbearable. The day you forgave yourself for not being perfect. But you know, your soul knows. And that knowing is gold. Let the journey stretch you. Let it teach you. Let it show you just how much strength is written into your bones. Because one day when you do reach the summit, and you'll look back not with pride in the destination, but in awe of every step it took to get there. You'll see that it was never about arriving, it was about becoming. The mountain was never just in the way. The climb carved you into who you are, and that soul shaped by storms and sunrises alike is more powerful than any peak. So don't rush it, don't resent it, don't tell yourself the lie that you'll only be okay now. In the becoming, in the stretching, in the quiet resilience that hums through your spirit with every breath you take on this climb. You are not made to be still. You were made to rise, to fall, to rise again. You were built for hard things, for beautiful things, for sacred struggles, for soul deep victories. And all of that is found in the climb. So keep climbing, keep trusting, keep believing in the power of every step. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to keep moving. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. It's holy. It's worthy. It's yours. When the road feels long and your spirit feels tired, remember this. You are not weak. You are rising. Every step, every tear, every moment of doubt is a part of your becoming. You were never meant to stay small or silent. You were built to grow, to heal, to climb, and to shine. The fire inside you has carried you this far, and it will carry you forward. Don't fear the hard moments. They are shaping the strongest parts of you. Keep going. Your story is still being written, and it is powerful beyond measure.